Hey guys, welcome back. So one very complex problem that we are going to run into is how to get proper collision out of this. And the easiest way I found is to use SDF, is to convert all the geometry into an SDF. And I have already done this. I'm gonna copy one of the setups and show you guys. So I've cached out the various parts of the geometry into a limbic. You don't have to do this. You can simply use the transform pieces live and not have to save this to disk, but I've done this because I did some rendering tests. And so let's say this is the ground, for example, and we want to get some collision out of this. The first thing is I'm going to unpack it to make sure that I have geometry, and then I'm going to create a VDB version of this. I don't need the velocity vector, I don't need anything, I just need collision. And so I simply convert this into a VDB and then save it out to disk. And let me load them in. I'm gonna copy some nodes, 1 second. So this is the cache of the geometry as an SDF. This is for the wood pieces. It's an older version, not the same one that we made together. And this is the roof SDF. You can see it's not very high res. And this is the glass SDF. And I do have I'll make it together. One second. And I do have the geometry of Kong and T-Rex as well converted into an SDF. And then the last part we want is the static geometry. Remember when we did the isolation, where was it? Here. So we also want a static a VDB from this as well. So I'm going to do a VDB from polygon here. I set this to 1, and we want to convert that into an SDF as well, so we can use it to do collision against that. And anything that we want, anything that we have to do collision with, we just need to convert it into an SDF and then feed that into the sim. And I have all the source, all the smoke emitter ready. I'm pasting them now. And this is the this is the smoke emitter from the various clusters. So that's cluster 1. There's another cluster, and then we're gonna loop over this pardon me, each one of these and create a smoke sim. The last part I wanted to show is how to automate the system for writing out the caches. So let's say we have the switch here, and we want to write cluster 1, 2, 3, and I've plugged them through the switch so we can simply change the number here and it will go and start generating a different source. So the easiest way to do that is by using a ROP output. You can go fancier and use wedges and the new top, but this works for this example, which is very, very simple. So what we want to do is we want to switch. We have these pre-render scripts. We want to switch the input based on that. So I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna drag and drop here. Sorry, not a text port, a Python. I'm gonna drag this, and what did I do? I'm gonna type .set at 1. Sorry, .set 1, and you can see how the toggle is changing. Okay, so what we can do is we can copy this And inside the ROP, we can say this is a pre-render script, and it's a Python script. You have to make sure it's a Python script. And this is a cluster 0. Okay. And I'm going to set this to 0. I'm going to copy this, cluster 1, cluster 2, and so on and so forth. And the path here, we'll set it to sim cluster 0 dot f, and then we can just change this to 1, 2, and now when we hit render, it's gonna go switch this node, switch this guy, and start evaluating based on the second or third or first input, and then save out to disk. And the same thing is done here. I plugged them. I have the read file pointing to the ROP output, which I pasted somewhere. Yeah, I pasted them. Let me copy them again. So these are my existing ROP output. You can see how I'm switching the node, and then these are just referencing the path here, this path. That's it. And then I can do the same thing again with a switch, and we're going to create the DOP network now and create our sim here. So we'll do that in the next video. Thank you guys for watching, and see you in a bit.